They have the hard-hitting analysis.
I'm anti-injury, so maybe this won't work out.
Kyler's only playing one tight end this week, so that's probably going to help him out a lot.
They tell it like it is.
That's not what I needed, Grandma Nut.
All right, the hipster fantasy player.
I don't do anything.
Their listeners love them.
Found all your charts boring, to be frank. Caitlin was the star of the show.
They break down all the statistics.
20 points. That doesn't quite add up. Maybe he had 93.
This is the Snick Snack Sports Podcast.
Here we... All right, Snickers, help me out.
What's going on? It's Christmas time. Welcome to the second round of the fantasy football playoffs. How are we doing today, Nate?
Doing great, Snickers. How are you?
Doing great. Got my Santa attire on. It was requested a couple weeks ago, and now it's time for it.
Very nice. Yeah, it's going to be a Christmas weekend. We've got games on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and Thursday. It's more than half the days of the week. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And we're in the thick of it in the playoffs now. 5 left. Only one will rise as champion. It'll be me. Despite all of the injuries. But every team deals with injuries. And we're excited to have all of our playoff contestants on the show today. Pentabox, if you will. So yeah, we've got Kyle, we've got Ducky, we've got Nick Adams, and we've got me and you.
Yeah. I almost forgot that one. Yeah. We're really excited to have everyone on at the same time. It's going to be nice and wild and crazy, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Sure will. And so let's just do a quick review. You know, our bets in the playoff season, just like last year, is just predicting the playoff bracket. And we both did that. You went into the playoffs ahead of me by 1 point. We see here that I was, 2 for 2 in the matchups. So that was 2 points for me. And as we see here, some ugly X's. You got 1 point, but you have missed out on 4 points in the bracket already.
Yeah, but it's all good. All we need is if you lose this week, then I'm basically golden. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no, we've figured out the math is kind of simple. If I win this week, we will both get a point. If Nick wins this week, I'll get an extra point. That will cause us to tie.
But if Nick wins this week, then neither of us get a point.
That's right. So, but I mean, by Nick, I mean Ducky. If Ducky wins this week, I will get the points, and we'll at least tie. Then if I win the whole thing, I will become the champion. Now, basically, if I win the championship, I will also be the champion of our bet, regardless.
Yeah.
But I can't lose if Nick Sylvia wins this week.
Right, but wouldn't it be more fun to give it to a first-time winner like Ducky or Kyle? Kyle only made the playoffs like twice. I think it'd be fun to have him win the whole thing.
Well, he can certainly hope for that, but I do not care. I've been in 2 finals. I'm 1-1, and I expect to be 2-1 by the end of all this. And we can take a quick look at our playoff games. This was the one that was supposed to be a blockbuster, and I would say it was. The projections throughout the weekend were close. They were projected at about 140. Most of the time, both of them fell a little short. Derrick Henry had a bad week. A.J. Brown didn't have a good week for him. Puka Nukem was just, not nuclear.
Yeah, just okay.
Just okay. And then it looks like I actually didn't catch this before, but John started a kicker who got fired.
He got dropped about 30 minutes before the game started to the practice squad. So that was tough to just see. Obviously, if John cared or looked at fantasy football at all, he would have seen that, but that's not the case, unfortunately. And looking at the waivers, there was a chance he could have picked up a better kicker, but it was like 3 in 10 chance that he would have picked the right one. So I don't blame John too much there. I just backed the wrong horse. Karin tried his best to win the week.
Yeah, if he really got dropped 30 minutes before game time, I honestly would have missed that too because I was out driving to meet up with you and would have not have caught that. So We can't really blame him for that, I suppose. And then, yeah, you said only like 3 of 10 kickers in the waivers had the 10-point swing he needed.
Yeah.
So, is there a scandal here? Probably, but it probably will never really be revealed in its true fullness because John pulled it off this time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess putting Gus Bus in over Brees Hall would it have gotten the win? It would have gotten the
No.
win by 0.4 points. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's all good. I mean, John doesn't look at anyone on his bench, so that's all right. As long as he took out Josh Jacobs and Keenan Allen, he gave himself a fighting chance.
Yeah, he made most of the right calls. And then Sam Laporta obviously had a great week for Ducky. That kind of sealed it for him. Nick Mullins had a great second half, though. He had like 2 points going into the second half of the game.
Yeah.
And team didn't win, but he looked competent. And then what happened in our lower scoring second wildcard matchup?
Yeah, no, Kyle, as we kind of thought might happen, ran away with it. I mean, it was close for a while going into Sunday afternoon, but Lamar, Jahmyr Gibbs, we got Trey McBee, T McBee got a big week, and Carson's team looks all right. They got a lot of guys doing well, but then a couple of duds as well. So that kind of sealed him in there.
Yeah, you can't blame him for that. Bijan just had one of the worst games he'll probably ever have. It was, of course, his coach's revenge on the fantasy football world.
Yeah.
I don't really blame him for benching T. Higgins. I don't know. I probably would have played him over Jerry Jeudy, to be honest, but they were projected similarly, and T. Higgins has not had a good year. And Jacoby really had been not I don't know. He's been down lately.
Yeah,
So.
and no one expected. I know we were kind of looking at it during our pod last week, but that the Raiders won 63-21 against the Los Angeles Chargers, and Brandon Staley did not make it back to the LA building before he got fired. So that was unfortunate on his side. But yeah, both teams looking at Kyle moving forward here. He has a lot of potential to go up and a lot of potential to go down. So we'll see how he sets his lineup this week, see if Tyreek's back, and see how he does against you.
Yeah. No, you have to think that Brandon Staley was knew he was going to get fired about 10 minutes into that game, and then just totally like lost, any resolve to carry that thing out. One of the biggest blowouts that I remember.
Yeah.
Besides the 70-point one against the Broncos. But what's the news this week? I know not a ton of news, but what's going on?
Yeah, obviously, Saturday, Michael Pittman got hit. He has a concussion. I assume he's not playing. That was a big hit. Obviously, the guy who hit him is out for the rest of the season. Got a 3-game ban, not going back. Keaton Mitchell got put on IR this week. You got Tyreek Hill questionable. He might play. McDaniel says that he's trying to get on all cylinders before he can go against the Cowboys. You got CJ Stroud. Hasn't practiced this week with the concussion. He still might miss this week, and going to next week, we know Texans did get a win. And Trevor Lawrence technically has a concussion, technically has an ankle injury, but it looks like they're probably just sitting him this week as they go. And in tease news, Aaron Rodgers elevated the 53-man roster, taking up a roster spot, is not going to play. So that's really interesting to see. I think maybe you come in week 18, take the knee out against really playing the Patriots in week 18. So see how it goes. But yeah, didn't have too much news this week going into the playoffs. A couple teams already clinched and waiting on the rest.
Yeah, no, it would be fun to watch Aaron Rodgers play. Otherwise, there's no reason to watch that week 18 game, but they should not do that. That'd be so dumb. But anyways, yeah. There are a lot of injured players. We'll get into them who are not new injuries really, but just people hoping to get back for their playoff teams. I know on me and Ducky's teams, but probably on the other teams as well. And we have them all here now to talk about it.
I think it was Ernest Jones.
All right, welcome to the show, everyone. We got the Olive Man, Kyle, and Nick Adams all joining us. How you guys doing?
Feeling good, doing good. Ready for these playoffs. Should go probably exactly like the regular season for me. Just gonna win out.
I see.
Yeah.
Good.
So you're
But
saying those shades aren't to hide your tears for seeing your team crumble before your eyes.
Oh no, we're a wagon. We're going all the way this year, easy. There's no stopping this.
Well, those are some nice shades.
Nice. Yeah.
I take you at least 10% more seriously with those on.
What do you have to say to that, Ducky? You're the one who has to take on this shaded master.
I mean, let's just let the teams talk. I'm not going to do any trash talking.
No
Really?
trash talking.
3 weeks ago, I did trash talking to my buddy after Dak Prescott dropped 60 on him, and then the rest of my team dropped 30, and I got absolutely smoked.
Yeah, I see that you picked up another AFC South quarterback. They're seeing CJ Stroud might not be playing this week. Is that why you're a little hesitant to go hard on Nick Adams?
I mean, I won one playoff game with Nick Mullins. I'm not sure I want to gamble on two.
That's a move.
You got Detroit at home. Might be a good matchup.
Yeah, but have you seen Gardner Minshew? You think
Yeah.
Nick Adams has style?
Yeah.
Well, I assume that Nick Adams has a jockstrap under all that.
Oh yeah. We're locked and ready.
Locked and loaded.
Yeah.
Well, let's pull up the matchups. I figure we'll get into what everyone at ESPN has listed first. Looks like me and you, Kyle. Now you handled last week pretty easily, but we have I am not projected to come close to you this week, and I'm not worried about it.
You sure?
Absolutely.
I told you over the weekend, Nate, that a freight train is coming for you. And if you still played Warzone with us, you would know how much I love trains. So it's about to get ugly. But no, honestly though, I think it should be pretty close between us. I mean, I think just looking at the matchups, you're probably favored there. I mean, Jalen Hurts against the Giants is pretty easy. Whereas, I got Lamar going against San Francisco, which could be a struggle. But I mean, on the other side, both Baltimore and San Francisco are two top 5 offenses, as well as being top 5 defenses. So that game could turn into a shootout. Same thing. I mean, Detroit, who's Detroit playing? Minnesota. That game, I mean, two solid defenses, but Detroit has let up a lot of points to, worse quarterbacks than Nick Mullins. So I think Detroit, Minnesota could turn into a shootout. And then obviously, Miami, Dallas has a shootout potential as well. So, I mean, if all 3 of those games hit, then you're looking at, Lamar, Gibbs, Hill, Jefferson, Likely, and even my kicker all really going off. So I think it's going to be close. If they all hit, I mean, I could really blow you out here.
Yeah, no, me and Nate were talking about that right before this. You have probably the best opportunity to either go for as many points as possible, or if none of them hit, fall off the cliff here. But Lamar against the Niners have been letting up a lot of rushing yards, especially to the quarterback, especially last week. Kyler Murray let up 240 yards against the Cardinals. So Lamar might have a very good chance to run a lot on the Niners. But you picked up you have Baker Mayfield and team got 30 points last week. Is there any chance you're shaking the bacon this week?
No, I mean, we've played Lamar. Lamar is disappointed, but he's gotten us this far, so we're sticking it out.
Kyle, I don't think I share your optimism this is going to be a good matchup, unfortunately. I think it's going to be over quite quickly. Austin Eckler and Joe Mixon are my Saturday plays. I expect them both to have by far the best games of the season. Austin Eckler is playing for a new coach. The guy holding him down just been fired. Easily probably 2 receiving touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns for Easton Stick, champion, probably next year's quarterback. And then Joe Mixon versus Pittsburgh. I mean, Nick Adams is an expert on Pittsburgh. They can't stop anything these days. And it's a division rivalry. Those games are always high scoring, I believe.
Low scoring.
Actually, quite the opposite for our division. division rivalries are usually about 10 to 14. Games look like garbage. Nobody scores any points. Nobody does well in fantasy points. So I'd stay away from Pittsburgh and Cincy.
I'm not so worried about that. I also have Jalen Hurts playing on Monday afternoon. I know that he can't stand all this Tommy DeVito shit, and I think he's going to shut him up for good. Probably embarrass him, doubling, tripling, maybe even quadrupling his point totals. I expect a record-setting week from my squad.
Yeah.
So he's a secret racist towards Italians.
I think just fake Italians.
I will say that the running backs are probably going to get a workout. So Warren and Mixon probably the two guys I would pick up there. But receivers I wouldn't bet on with two backups or third strings at this point trying to hit God knows what. Oh, been a terrible back half of the season for the Steelers.
I mean, highlighted by their Patriots loss.
Yeah. I know that's hurting you guys potentially in draft capital.
Yeah, lose week. That's for
Yeah.
sure. No, I do have Chuba Hubbard on my bench, who may also play a key role. I'm not sure who to replace exactly, but I just want Kenny, if he's out there listening, to know that if you had Chuba Hubbard on your team after my trade, you'd be in my spot right now. You can do the math. It would be him versus Kyle this week. And but he's sitting at home not playing fantasy football.
Yeah. No, definitely. Chuba's been one of your rocks in your team all year, even though he hasn't been in the starting lineup much, Nate. But who else in your team have you been relying on, and who else has gotten you into the playoffs and to the first round bye this week?
You know, I have to say the trade between me and Ducky really panned out well. And not that it killed your team. I don't think. Obviously, you're succeeding here, Nick. But Nico and Pacheco have been on a bit of a run here. Last week excluded. They were both injured last week. I'm hoping they both have a Q next to their name right now. I think they're both expected to play last I looked.
Pacheco is going to start. I don't know about Collins, though.
Yeah, and even if Collins does start, there's, of course, the question mark around Stroud, who you would also have some interest in. And I'm not sure I have a lot of faith.
Stroud was not starting. So
I
that's
think he's
why
already been
I have
ruled
like
out.
5 quarterbacks on my team.
Oh, he has been ruled out at this point. That is not good news for Nico.
And you're playing against Cleveland, which is I don't even know if I'd want to play Stroud against Cleveland to begin with.
Yeah, well, the problem is my wide receiver depth is not good at the moment.
Meaning you only have 2 on your team, on your bench. Hollywood's a little injured too. We'll see if he is able to catch a touchdown, save the week.
And he hasn't done anything recently. I think he scored like no more than 4 points since Kyler got back. Romeo Dobbs has the potential. I guess I'd probably end up playing him, but
too bad. Puka's got 9 points on my bench right now, Nate.
Yeah, he's catching touchdowns right now.
Wow.
Can't believe you benched Puka in the playoffs.
I like my other guys' matchups.
He's the greatest receiver of all time.
That was certainly a choice.
Well, let's get a weigh in on the other 3 of you here. Who's winning this matchup? Nick, you first. Or I guess Snickers, you first.
There's actually 3 Nicks on the call, Nate. So,
and I was asking all 3 of you. Snickers, who's winning this?
Well, I think Kyle's obviously going to win this matchup because you're very injured, and I need Kyle to win this matchup in order to continue our bet.
Fair enough. Nick Adams, who do you think?
Oh, I mean, I think I gotta go with the truck father.
Thank you.
I take back what I said about your sunglasses.
I think you're gonna pull it out. Your projected total doesn't look like it's gonna get there, but that's always crap. So I think looking at the matchups for your players this week, I think you got it.
No, I appreciate that. I think us bye week havers got to stick together. We're better than everyone else.
Exactly. We are better than everybody else.
And we deserve this.
We deserve it.
What about you, Ducky? Who's winning this? You're the tiebreaker here.
Kyle.
Oof. Okay, that's all right. Me and Nick Adams.
Easy money on Kyle. I really don't think Nico is going to do anything. I don't trust the Chargers, and Joe Mixon has been like an RB3.
That's not true. He hasn't been exemplary, but I think he's an RB2.
Yeah. But yeah, quick question to you, Kyle. Who's been the big inspirational leader in your team throughout the season and into the playoffs here?
Well, I mean, probably, most valuable player obviously is Tyreek Hill, but I guess if you're going to, I don't know, most important or most improved, you want to give out that award. I mean, I honestly think Jahmyr Gibbs, the start of the year, you saw the talent, he just wasn't getting the opportunity. But then, Montgomery missed some time. Gibbs really stepped in and did phenomenally and really made it so Detroit had to put him on the field more. And ever since they have, he's, risen to the opportunity. And, I had that proposed trade with John to, trade. I was going to trade Tyreek Hill, try to get Breece Hall to give myself a steady RB1, but really Gibbs has turned into that for me. So,
and Breece Hall is not. So that's good trade.
Yeah.
Good
thing John declined that trade and made it up another one with you, Snickers, to get Jefferson. So feel pretty good.
Yeah, awesome. And Katie's gonna be sad you didn't pick one of your kickers or punters to be your MVP.
Morstead. Thomas Morstead. That goes without saying. The dude's just been electric with the ball on his foot. He's incredible.
Love that saying, but yeah, Nate, let's look at the other matchup here and see who might take this one away.
Also, it's all right, Nate. Everybody sees a winner and they want to bring him down.
I agree.
I know they're all rooting against you, but I think you got this. You know how to win. Should be a breeze for you.
Snickers, you remember what I said at Shoveltown like a month ago?
Sure.
I don't
we had a lot of conversation, but I'll get it.
I personally thought a month ago the finalists
that you and John would be in the finals.
And Nick Adams.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Just purely because you guys have had the fantasy luck this year.
No, you've had the easy schedules, yeah. And even though Becky and John scored a lot of points, you guys.
I know you're saying luck, but all I hear is skill and good decision making. You
took Travis Kelce, number 2 overall, who isn't even the number 1 fantasy tight end this year.
Yeah, it was a value pick for consistency. Who else are you going to take it to the tight end position this year? There's a couple good picks, but nobody that I would have drafted early on.
Yeah, that's why you don't draft a tight end early on.
That's why you do what I did and trade for a tight end in the middle of the season.
Unless Nick Adams wins, in which case he's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
It is a really interesting matchup having Sam Laporta against Travis Kelce. I think you guys were facing off just a couple weeks ago, and that was actually our bet. And Travis Kelce won that week. So Sam Laporta had the probably worst game of the season 2 or 3 weeks ago when you guys played. But it is really interesting, the old guard versus the new guard here. And yeah, Ducky, you've been leaning on Sam since he became a new team, or who else has been helping you get through the season this far?
Well, the beginning of the season was 100% carried by A.J. Brown. But these past couple of weeks has been Rachaad White. That trade with Matt really kind of saved my team. When I lost Kenneth Walker, I was playing Kareem Hunt, which was just not a viable long-term solution. So I would say the last 4 weeks has been all Rachaad White. Having Kenneth Walker back against a nice, easy Tennessee defense is also going to help, I would say.
Tennessee has been notoriously good against the run the last 5-10 years, but yeah, they're obviously not trending in the great direction anymore. But what about you, Nick Adams? Who's been helping your team? I know you switched over to Brock Purdy about week 5, week 6, and haven't really looked back. But who else in your team has been really pushing through?
I'll say, first of all, winning's thirsty work, so I'm gonna get myself a drink.
Oh, I got the bubbly.
It's a drink of champions. But yeah, I think ETN there at running back really has been putting up points for me all year. The change over to Brock Purdy was I think a stroke of genius by me early on. I really didn't draft a quarterback very highly, so I had to find something, and he's really been more than I could have expected this year. The whole rest of my team, though, has really just been consistent performers, and that's kind of where I went with my draft. People that I thought would just put up points consistently and every now and then have a breakout week, but really not have much of a floor, or have a high floor.
Yeah.
And introduction of the defensive player this year, I really wanted to draft one early on, make sure I got somebody good. And Zaire Franklin really been crushing it, number 2 overall, I think, for defensive players.
Yeah.
I got Tucker kicking and Pinion punting. It's really been winning by committee and consistency here, making sure that if my opponent makes a mistake that I capitalize.
No, absolutely. And yeah, Zaire is actually leading the league in tackles, so through 15 weeks here, so it's a pretty good pick there. But,
Yeah, speaking of so-called mistakes, I think what we're all wondering is how Ducky feels about being the beneficiary of our latest scandal, Kickergate, some may call it. I have a question for you, Ducky.
Always listening.
I have a question for you, Nate. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'm wondering how much the Olive Man paid for the result that we see here at the bottom of your screen.
Sure.
An unrostered kicker sitting there on his opponent's bench.
In John's defense, I didn't even know Detroit was playing that night. I didn't.
Yeah.
Wait. He got cut. I thought he was just.
He's not even on a team.
Wait,
what?
He was
I
brought
thought he
down
just
to the
got
practice
hurt.
squad. He was brought to the practice squad about 30 minutes before kickoff Saturday night. It was a tough decision. Was a tough thing that you probably wouldn't have known, especially since John doesn't check his lineup after Wednesdays. But there was a very small chance that he could have played the right lineup to beat Ducky, and unfortunately, it didn't happen last week.
So yeah, I'm wondering how much cash was changed hands, and if this is really the example you want to be setting now that you will be co-running our league.
I already told you, Nate. I'm gonna be corrupt. So obviously, I'm gonna lead into it. I'm gonna get you guys used to it the year before, so that when I'm commissioner, you're like, oh yeah, this is just the new norm.
Yeah, I really respect the openness that he's gonna accept bribes, and I'm not gonna say I'm gonna take advantage of it, but we all know.
Well, now why don't you mid-tier Nick walk us through some of your bench decisions here. Where there's anybody that you're thinking about swapping in before game day?
Well, my big hang up right now is that 49ers defense against Baltimore. I don't know that I want to start the Niners defense. They've been relatively solid all year, even against some better opponents, but they've also had some weeks that have been pretty bad. That said, the Bucks D against Jacksonville they're supposed to do better. I might go with I'm fighting my nature here, keeping the Niners in, but I might go with the safe pick and throw the Bucks in. Other than that, I'm pretty set on my lineup. George Pickens, he's probably not going to catch shit because Pittsburgh. Pretty sure Pittsburgh's starting Mason Rudolph this week, so that's going to be fun.
Well, I'm wondering how did Jack Sanborn make the roster here?
He was a pickup for my bye week defensive player, and my roster's so solid, I never saw a reason to get rid of him.
Seems like a bit of a charity hire. 2.5 points projected.
Yeah, I mean, I could bring in somebody else, but right now our pickings off the waivers are pretty slim, so I'm gonna roll with what's kept me going all year, and if he rides us to a championship on the bench with me, he deserves it.
He gets a ring.
Yeah, he gets a ring. He gave me a good solid bye week. That's all I need.
Now, Ducky, what is any last minute changes that you're considering? I know Pook Nukem's going nuclear on the bench here for you. Already has his projection after about a quarter of play. But so too late on that one.
I would say the only thing I'm still deciding between is Gardner Minshew and Mullins. My roster, other than like my flex, has been like ever changing just because I have 6 viable starters and only 5 places to put them. I try to do the best I can with the matchups. I always thought the Saints had a semi-decent defense, so I was a little skeptical on Puka's abilities there. I am not playing Noah Brown against Cleveland, even though he got me 18 points, and I was actually kind of I was kind of complaining a little bit last week because if I had played Noah Brown, I had basically beaten John. And to be honest, I didn't expect Kenneth Walker to be the reason I won. I was expecting AJ Brown to drop 20 points and then Kenneth Walker to hopefully get me 10.
No, I was tracking that matchup a lot, and I saw AJ Brown wasn't doing too much in the Eagles-Seahawks matchup, but then Kenneth Walker got 80 yards in the touchdown. I'm like, that's the week right there. But
yep.
You're not thinking about playing Kyler though?
I don't know. I mean, so I've held on to him in case he returned to his old self, but like he hasn't really done anything. He's had like 1 week where he would have been like a decent start. I guess I'm looking at it right now. He had 2 20-point weeks and 1 18-point week. I'm gonna kind of see how the weather goes and see maybe there's this particular game that has bad weather and there's gonna be no passing and I can play based on that. Otherwise, I may just roll with Mullins again and hope that Kyle and I get 500 points from Minnesota.
Yeah, well, if it makes you feel any better, Gardner and Nick Mullins are both playing in a dome this week.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Now, so we all already know who I'm picking for this game. I'm picking you, Ducky. It's in my bracket. But Kyle, who do you have for this game?
I want to say first, we clowned on John for years for having 3 QBs to the point where he changed his name to the 3 QBs. And this man has the infinity gauntlet of 5 QBs on his roster right now, completely blowing that out of the water. I don't know if that's going to be helpful or not, but I mean, that is quite incredible. If you want actual analysis, I mean, I know we were talking about Travis Kelce before. I mean, I think that's going to be the key. He's had a couple down games in a row, but if he shows up, I think that Nick Adams will probably win this one. And I mean, he's a big game player. He showed up before, and Vegas is a pretty good matchup. So I think it's going to be a good matchup. Might end in a tie, and we'll have the biggest game of Candyland in history next week.
Undefeated in
You know what?
Candyland.
I'm changing my vote. I'm voting for a tie.
I'd go for a tie. I'm undefeated in Candyland.
You are.
So am I.
All right. It'll be a showdown. It does look like, Kelsey does play Monday night. Could come down to the wire.
Monday afternoon.
Well, yeah.
I have a game after Kelsey on Monday.
Monday night in Australia.
Oh, yeah. Purdy's playing Monday night, so yeah.
Me and Kyle like to watch the New Zealand Australia streams.
Oh, that would be awesome. Purdy versus Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
I do respect the Presley Harvin pick, and I saw you stuck with him most of the season. He's been punting the shit out of the ball with how terrible Steelers' offense is.
I've been actually looking at maybe switching because he was really good before because the Steelers were just good enough to get like to the 50-yard line, and then he could do a within the 20, within a 10 punt. Now the Steelers like average -5 yards on a particular drive. So
we're not getting him close enough that he can put it inside the 20.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to kick it 80 yards though, so.
Yeah, but if you're kicking it that far, they're gonna return it. So he's not putting you in the 20 unless he's putting it like coffin corner, which he does on occasion, but not all that often.
Called out kicking your coverage there. But yeah, looking at the matchup, I think obviously both have good teams. Ducky's only struggling at quarterback really, and Nick, you seem to have that one locked up. But no, I have to pick Nick Adams. Obviously, if you win and Kyle wins, then I've won the bet, and we can go into next week with no drama there. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So it's going to be an exciting week. And it's going to be spread out throughout the whole week. I think there's very few football games overlapping, unlike most weeks of the year. So we can watch
They
them all.
got 2 extra games on Monday and 2 extra games on Sunday, so I think that helps spread things out a little bit. Or
Yeah.
Saturday, I mean.
Yeah,
Is it 2
yeah.
Saturday or 3?
I think there's 2 Saturdays, Bengals, Steelers, and someone else.
Not
Cincy
sure.
Pitt.
Well, we'll see if there's any Christmas Day miracles for people.
And Bills Chargers, yeah. But yeah, Christmas Day miracles. See if Santa wants to bring anything. Hopefully a finals trip.
That's right.
I'm really hoping that I can elevate from mid-tier Nick to top-tier Nick next year, but I gotta get over
Baby
this.
steps. Baby steps.
Yeah, this last game, I think what do we got? Yeah. I think I win this week. Maybe I can take a step up next year.
Is this the loser has to officially change their name bowl between you two?
Well,
We haven't put anything down like that, but I've just
like you're Kevin now, like after the game or something.
I've been self-assessing this year and last year with mid-tier Nick, but I really tried to step it up.
I'll change my name to Kyle.
Yeah.
I'm talking like in real life, like not fantasy.
I'll be totally Kyle.
We'll get the paperwork ready for next week's episode.
All right,
yeah,
let's do it.
No, I know we're running out of time here on our Zoom clock, but I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with y'all, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you all next week.